today we have with us a man who has worked in the industry for more time than I have been ever alive. Mr. Shashank. He has led multiple multinational Indian oil and gas industry companies, which have had like tenfold of success and converted into billions of valuation. So, sir, we are very grateful to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Sir, like you began your journey as a reservoir engineer after graduating to IIT-ISM Dhanbad, and then after that you directly went into pursue after 2 years of job. You went to pursue your MBA from IIM Bangalore. So, sir, what was your journey for getting inspired to go into management and make that switch? Right, switch means giving up your job and giving the exam preparation. How do you pursue that?
So, when I was in campus, so obviously I was not the topper, I was not the last guy as well. When we went to give interviews, when the companies came in for campus placement in the year 2000, so I was very clear in my mind that MBA to karna hi hai. In my mind it was IIT, IIM, bachpan mein, small town boy, it's always told to. I didn't know why, but I knew I have to do it. Even after I did it, I didn't know why I did it. But when I was giving my interviews, Schlumberger का इंटरव्यू चल रहा था. Schlumberger was the most fancy company on campus उस समय. जो भी कंट्री मैनेजर था उसने इंटरव्यू दिया. After some time he said कि शशांक तुम टिकोगे नहीं. उसमें बोले क्या होता? तुम्हारे अंदर MBA का कीड़ा दिख रहा है अभी से. तुम तो 1-2 साल में छोड़ के जाओगे. So let us talk when you have done your MBA. So it was very obvious. You cannot flunk your way through some of these. It was very obvious this is what I was going to do. I was better at dealing with people and talking to people than dealing with Excel sheets and talking to simulation programs. So, even when I was in Oil India in the first couple of years when I worked, my work was, while I was in the reservoir department, I was actually in the workover section where there is action. So I like action. So field में well program बनाया, intervention program है, we're talking to contractors, rather than sitting and running simulations, which I found extremely boring. It was but natural, but then there was this interesting story which happened, right? So when I was in ISM, I tried to give my MBA, से पढ़ाई नहीं करी, जो exam नहीं दिया ढंग से. While I was in Oil India, I gave my exam and first year, 2000, I joined Oil India. In 2000 December, I gave the exam the first time in CAP. And I got through SPJ and I did not get through anywhere in the IIMs. ऐसे ही दे दिया था. SPJ में मेरे इंटरव्यू लेने के लिए उन्होंने बुलाया and then they scheduled the interview at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I remember. And I was waiting till 6 o'clock. And when I went to the interview, the first thing I said was, boss, if you don't know how to run an interview, how will you run my MBA? So I said no to the interviewers before they said no to me. So I walked out. Obviously, I had no choice to do an MBA. तो बोला petroleum engineer हूँ, अब reservoir engineering work over ही करूँगा जा करके. Until the terrorists put a gun to my head. I said कि तुम्हारा पढ़ाई कर लेते हैं. I don't want to stay here any longer. So that was, I think, October में कोई website job में. I was telling you guys, Assam में Duliajan. There is a jungle called Jorajan, which is between Duliajan and wherever I had gone to the field. Jorajan ka jungle, I was about to enter. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. It was getting dark. The driver said, "Sir, आर्मी वाले check कर रहे हैं. रुक जाएगा." बोला रुक जाओ. ये तो बाबू है, मैं आराम से पीछे बताऊँ रुक जाओ. उसके बाद जो पिटाई हुई और जो उतारा वहाँ पे टेररिस्ट ने. Managed to get out of there alive, but I was very sure, boss, पढ़ाई लिखाई करी है, नौकरी करनी है, मरने के लिए नहीं आया मैं यहाँ पे. So then that's when if you want to prepare, 1 महीना काफी है. So what I did was get into MBA. Maybe this is relevant, but this is not the exact question you asked. But it is relevant in a way that when I first gave my exam, I was doing very well in my CAT until a wedding started somewhere, and I lost my concentration after 1 hour into the examination. वो म्यूजिक बजने लगा, कहीं पे हम लोग गाली देने लगे, we got distracted कि क्या है, कौन करता है, एग्जाम चल रहा है बच्चों का. Complaining doesn't change an outcome, which means my exam was good. There were a lot of people who gave it, you won't get through. Next time when I prepared on November end, I decided कि बहुत अगर दोबारा ऐसा हुआ तो I should not get stuck with it. So what I did was, we had a break, lunch break during college services. Great disturbances. Had a lunch break and in the lunch. During lunch break, I would give my practice examination for CAT, which was a 1.5 hour examination. जैसे ही बस आती थी सारे ETs को लेकर के, I would sit down with the paper right there. आजा जितना डिस्टर्ब करना है कर लो, आके हल्ला करते थे, मुँह में चिल्लाते थे, मैं बैठ के अपना एग्जाम कर लो जितना डिस्टर्ब करना है। किया 1 महीने तक पूरा उसके बीच में तैयारी करी। As luck would have it, when I gave the exam the next time, फिर से शादी चालू हो गई। आधे घंटे के अंदर मैं फिर अब शादी का सीजन होता है दिसंबर 1 सीजन सामने शादी शुरू हो गई, सब लोग की वाट लग गई, सब कंप्लेन कर रहे थे, मेरे को पर अगेन बैठ के आराम से एग्जाम देना। I was telling somebody there were 10,000 people who appeared for the exam in that center. I was the only one who got through. If I had known कि 10,000 में से एक आदमी को होना है तो मेरा कभी नहीं होता, देता ही नहीं एग्जाम। If I hadn't prepared for the हल्ला गुल्ला तो भी नहीं होता। Although I can very easily skip over it and say 1 महीना पढ़ के हो गया, फिर बातचीत बना के इंटरव्यूज में भी हो गया। Actually you have to work hard at times. You know, it's not कि वो MBA 5 IIM 6 IIM पढ़े हुए हैं, engineering करना कि MBA करना। It's a very active decision and you have to work on it to make sure that happens. You have to work for it because there's hundreds of thousands of people who will be working to try and get that same slot. It's only fight money per day. You need to know why you're doing it.
Next question would be on energy management, which the common word that's really trying to the question would be sir कि transition लोग बहुत करते हैं कि transition करना है pollution कम करना है लेकिन अगर आप जनरली करते रहते हो ऐसे कुछ एक नॉर्मल पीपल मिडिल क्लास लोग के लिए तो काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें होती हैं अफोर्डेबल नहीं होता और उसके अलावा बड़े बड़े एजेंसी उसको अफोर्ड भी कर सकती है क्योंकि गोइंग ऑन चल रहा है सर आपका उस पे क्या आर्ट्स के साथ हेल्प कर रहा है फ्यूचर में करने के लिए
So see, all companies play their small part. I'm not in a place where I can drive the change. I can always enable the change. As I keep telling people that आजकल तो सब AI, ML की बात करते हैं. In the industry that we are in, we are manufacturing. Loha, that's what we deal with. Metal, right? So it is dumb metal. Earlier industry, also oil industry, from where I come, Baker Hughes, wet coke, where we made wellhead sprees, which some of my very senior colleagues love to say that we deal in dumb metal. In the age of sensors and artificial intelligence, what can we do? Well, we can do a lot. So what happens is all these fancy people with all the money, they want to come and do energy transition, but when you get down to the basics, when you get down into the detail, you realize energy transition is about trying to generate a new form or new source fuel, which is hydrogen. General electrolysis के through बना रहे हैं, but all in the process, the equipment that you use, that has to be installed so that you can do the hydrogen generation, right? The separators, the skids, the control modules, all of that's the piping that happens, the things which separate the oxygen and hydrogen, and then you clean the fuel, and then you bottle it, then you store it. We do all of that stuff. So the technology part of it is Crude electrolyzer. It needs a lot of money. I don't have the money to invest 10,000 crores in an electrolyzer tech. Somebody will. The word electrolyzer tech में invest करेगा, and he'll still need the balance of the plant, which is 50-60% of the investment. There's very few people in India who do that. So I make that in India. That's my input to this. And energy transition की बात बहुत करते हैं. Energy transition, when it happens, it happens. Technology is a switch. When it flips, right? So, you guys were obviously not around when there were no cell phones. When we were in campus, there were no cell phones. अगर मेरा तुम लोगों के साथ interview होता, you'd not be recording it like this because there were no cell phones. You could not even coordinate with me when we had the college fest, Saturnalia, which it was called back then. I don't know अभी क्या बुलाते हैं उसको. Saturnalia. सृजन हो गया ना अभी तो हाँ. तो सृजन शायद बीच में 2-4 साल बाद हो गया. For us, 3-day fest है. Monday सुबह अगर चालू हुआ तो I would meet my friends and say कि we'll try to meet in the canteen at 7 o'clock this evening. If I don't see them, I will not see them for 3 days. So I cannot find out where they went. There was cell phone, there was nothing, right? So transition जब होता है, जब cell phone आया और 2G, 3G, 4G से 5G आया, nobody said suddenly कि हम लोग ये sudden transition से we get to a place. My first job or first 3 years in service, most of my money went in buying CDs and books. I loved music. I would listen to music. वो tape मंगवा के गाने सुनते थे. सब कुछ cell phone पे एक subscription पे that transition happened, right? When the technology is right, when the pricing is right, it happens. The entire world was running on coal as a fuel. All the ships were running on coal as a fuel. before World War I. Churchill, as War Minister of UK, transitioned the fuel from coal to diesel because internal combustion engines had just come by. There were sources of fuel. The entire world switched over. Electric cars were there back then. My former company, GE, it made electric cars in the 1910s. 1910 में electric car. ऐसा नहीं कि नई technology. Electrolysis was there back then. Those technologies का time नहीं है. Electric vehicle charging and electric vehicle driving and AC, DC infrastructure. These were all discussions which were going on back then. Internal combustion engine was more convenient and climate change was not a discussion. So that transition did not happen. The transition happened from coal to diesel. Or climate change is a thing. Discussion is happening. And before you know it, like cell phones happened from nowhere to everywhere in 20 years. Hydrogen and renewable energy and the entire transition will happen from nowhere to everywhere. In the next 20 years, it will not even realize क्या हुआ ऐसा कब. It's not a flip that switches. That mindset happens, the world is ready for the change and the change happens.
So, next question was that.
So we have to watch it right now. We have 5 more minutes.
The last one. Sir, you started as a business analyst, management managing the country and the whole country's infrastructure. And then now you are the CEO. Besides that, you are also the Secretary for SPE Mumbai. And besides that, also you also have the society. And besides that, you also have a farm. So
You've done a lot of research, what I would say.
yes. So how after doing all this, what do you think? Is there anything you want to do?
Yes, of course. So, when you have energy, you want to put it as much places as you can. What I say is, normally when you get older, your energy level is slightly dip. So you'd rather do stuff. The reason I have a farm now when I am so busy is because I will not be able to develop it when I am 60. I would rather do it when I am 45 because I still have the energy to plant 400, 500 trees to nurture them so that when I am ready to sit in the shade and sip my coffee, actually, I don't have to do the effort of standing in 46 degrees temperature and planting those trees. If you want to reap the benefits of some actions, you have to do it now. The reason I am still the secretary of my society for the last 12 years, 13 years, forever it's because when I grow old, I don't want the infrastructure to be so broken. I stay on the 20th floor. My lift टूटा हुआ है, building leak कर रही है, सब टूटा हुआ है. उसमें I can do nothing about it. I'm making sure that it is ready for taking care of my retirement. Right? So, you create your own future. Right? Otherwise, someone else will create it for you. If I am not the CEO of a company, which I would like to turn around. So being in an MNC, you are making a few right decisions at the right time. Changing jobs. I didn't change a lot of jobs. So, being in a job, sometimes you give it your best. And when you feel the job cannot give its best back to you, that is when you switch. So, I think my story in Baker Hughes was done. Was 10 million से 200 million कर दिया था in an MNC. Then as an Indian, there is very limited you can do to influence India. And that's at that point of time you start wanting to give back more to the society. You want to give back to the place from where you come. Possibly what flipped the switch from me. I use this term a lot, flipping the switch. When we won a very big order, and the biggest order possibly that was biggest order in the oil industry at that point of time. It was a $1.8 billion order. My company got more than $600 million out of that. I thought I'll create a lot of employment in India, we'll hire a lot of people. It didn't happen. Jobs were created in UK. The biggest chunk of order went to parts of Scotland. I created jobs in Australia, in Singapore. The British High Commissioner would want to come and meet me. And बोला इंडिया के लिए बन गया. That point of time, there is one company you think about. It's a Tata Group का, Tata Projects का MD मेरे को SPE conference में मिला when he said, boss making company है, छोटी सी आदमी. Will you want to take this job as CEO? A listed company है, क्या करती है? Like shipbuilding है, space, बाद में पता चला. Manufacturing, infrastructure space. There's a lot of opportunity to do stuff. Within the first 1 year, while it was loss making and I turned it around to profits, I would have already generated more than a few hundred jobs, already started a new factory, turned around, got a lot of project employment created. You feel happier. Although, when you are in an MNC, you travel the world, you have the most expensive of wine, interact with the number of countries, week sometimes I would visit would be 4 or 5. बहुत fancy लगता है उसमें, but अंत में you will feel hollow because you've done nothing from where you come from. But when you are in a company which works in India, for India, you might not have all of that fanciness around you, but what you do makes a real impact on the ground, and you are basically making in India. इसे भारत बनाना है तो हम लोग को ही करना पड़ेगा. We are the ones who will be making our impact. So we make it in India. Now my next innings, if I'm good at turning things around, my challenge to myself is by the time I retire, in the next 15 years, I do something. Not just turns around this company, turns around the story in India for manufacturing. So that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you so much. Well researched, good questions. Well done, guys. I believe this is serial number 1 of your podcast, or you guys have been having this for a while?
It would be we reshoot the introduction part, but this would be officially the first episode of Crude Conversation.
Very good. Nice job, guys. Best of luck for the next set of conversations. Well done.